which is why I know, did you guys still have the requirement that you do a speech in front of all of, okay. So
Yeah.
that seems like torture to a lot of people, but I will tell you, having gone out into the world, it is really great to have done that once under your belt and to have that experience, because everything from there, I mean, when's the next time you speak to 800 people? It's not gonna be for a while, unless you really want to. So it's a lifelong thing. I've been with people that are in their 50s and 60s that go to like Toastmasters groups to figure out how to speak publicly, how to start conversations. So you guys got a head start, and that's awesome. But the main, like one of the main learning things that you'll hear is that it's a practice. You have to practice doing it, and not in the way that you sit down and you practice a speech, but even weird ways like me coming here and doing this, or on airplanes I talk to strangers. Farrah loves to talk to strangers on airplanes. She always comes home and has some story about whoever sat next to her. But that's actually practice on, you know, you find out things about people. It's kind of a risk-free option because they just leave after. You don't have to ever see them again. And so, you know, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations is pretty much how you get better at this. It's not sitting in a room by yourself trying to figure it out. So going from that, we'll go with, so I asked everybody to do something interesting, and I think one of the best ways to kind of arm yourself when you go into a conversation anywhere is to have an idea of what you like about yourself, what you're interested in talking about yourself. So when someone does ask, because you all are young and bright, and you've got this whole future ahead of you, and a lot of people will come up to you and they'll ask you a question, right? So, you know, where do you go to school? And then they go from there. And it's good to have an idea of what you're interested in or what you want to talk about yourself. Because they'll ask you questions and it'll be really awkward. So I picked, and this is interesting, I picked that I went to 45 countries. Anybody have any idea why I picked that? Where'd I go? I've been to less continents than you have been, actually. I've been to Iran, I've been to Africa, by myself in Africa, which is really cool. I've been to Europe and Asia, and not been to South America. But I did it all in different places. Sometimes it was with big groups of friends, and I found that I would stick to my group of friends, and then sometimes I'd be by myself, and that's when I really practiced talking to people, because you know, when you're by yourself and you need something, you kind of have to walk up. Now you all are all under the age of 18, so I do not recommend that you go out and talk to strangers. But there's ways, I mean, you can do it, you can test it with like events at your family's house or like parties and things like that, where there are people that are older than you. You can kind of test the waters by going and just walking up to someone and asking them about themselves. So the first thing you want to definitely have is kind of an inventory of yourself. And that can be something you ask somebody else about. Okay, you know, what is really interesting about me? Like, what's something that I do that might be something I can talk about? And that, you're always going to want to do that, and it'll change over time. So someone here said rowing, basketball. Basketball's a great one. March Madness just happened. You want to give people like a door to walk through, and they will take it somewhere else. You don't have to have all of your stats, and you know, but you want to know what position you play. What position do you play? Did you watch March Madness? What was your favorite team? Okay. So you see, you can start kind of going into like a whole, or people will take it somewhere else. They'll say, oh, I played a sport in high school. I rowed. And they start talking about that. And so you want like something that opens the door. You don't have to have all the details. And you're more interesting than you're probably going to give yourself credit for, right? So a lot of you were struggling with what to say, but you do clubs, maybe you horseback ride or do extracurriculars, maybe you did something interesting last weekend, maybe last summer. So there's always something that you can pull off of, and it's easier than you think. But you do need to think about it ahead of time. Otherwise, you get the awkward silence, right? So they ask you a question and you can't think of it, or they ask a question and so it gets awkward. The second thing that you want to do, and someone said they had trouble asking questions for someone, I think it was you. So that's something that I love. So I am like a serial question asker when I'm uncomfortable. So what do you do? Why are you here? You know, what brought you to this country? I like to, my style of getting to know, because most of the goals for when I go into a conversation, and we'll talk about goals, is to learn about somebody. So I ask questions, and people love to hear, like, talk about themselves. They love it. Maybe you all don't, but most people out there, they do. And that's a lot about not liking awkward silence and things like that. So I like to ask questions. And what are some questions that y'all think would be like good opening comment for the questions? You got something in mind? Yeah. I want you guys to ask me questions. If I was just here and you just met me, what?
Where are you from?
I'm from Chattanooga. Grew up here, went to GPS. I could just go on and on about it. I just came back. What's another, like a follow-up question?
What are you working in?
So I worked in the mayor's office. Now I'm running for office. I'm talking to lots of people.
What are you running for?
I'm running for Congress
Whoa, here?
in Chattanooga.
Oh
So then that goes, obviously that conversation goes into a bunch of other things, but you learned a lot about me in a